Hi, I'm Danny Strabel, founder of RackHouse Whiskey Club. We've traveled to Big Fork, Montana to visit Whistling Andy Distillery, a distillery that incorporates the lifestyle and philosophy of Montana. Can't wait for you to hear their story.
We're Whistling Andy Distilling in Big Fork, Montana. We are the oldest operating distillery in Montana. So the name Whistling Andy was my father's nickname in the military. He always whistled. So our last name's Anderson. Everybody always called him Andy. Yeah, he was whistling his entire life and worked on radar systems, actually converted over the B-52s from tubes to solid state, then went to work for the FAA and ran the radar site here locally. He was a craftsman in every way, shape, or form. He built our house from the ground up, just did everything with his hands and loved playing around, tinkering with stuff. And it's kind of where I got that passion for it. I wish he would have been able to see it, but he passed away a couple years before we did the project. But just really wanted to do a little feature for him. We definitely put a lot of love into everything we do. It took a long time to get our products to where we wanted it to be. I had a cot set up in my office for the first 2.5 years, and I slept in the distillery 5 nights out of every 7 to really figure out kind of what it is that we were doing. And then just slowly grassroots grinding it through. So we started with small budget and a lot of love and just kept growing it from there. I was a geohydrologist before, so rocks and water science geek, and I knew water was a really big component of it. We're one of the few municipal water supplies in the country that doesn't treat their water. They have 2 900-foot wells just north of town. Really beautiful water for fermentations. So we have really high calcium, magnesium, but low iron, which is kind of anomalous in this area. If you go just a couple miles down south, you get into high iron contents. Yeast doesn't really like iron, but love all those other minerals. So we've never had to buffer our pH for any of our mashes. We just really ended up with awesome water right out of the gate. We are also right at the head of Flathead Lake. It's the largest natural freshwater lake west of the Mississippi. All of our water pretty much comes from Glacier National Park, feeds into the lake. It's a beautiful spot. You can walk out on a dock and look down 20 feet and count every pebble in the bottom of the lake. Through this as well, we've been able to travel the world promoting our spirits and selling our spirits, and I love seeing what people think of in Montana. So I get a whole bunch of different reactions. Like I'll be, get asked like, oh, do you have the internet? Or do you still ride horses to school? I think Montana is kind of more of a philosophy. You can kind of do anything you want. As long as you're a decent person and you try really hard, there's really no limitations or restrictions. And that's something that I absolutely love. Community here is incredibly strong. Everybody really supports each other and really pushes everything forward. And it's a beautiful place to live. There's a lot of beautiful whiskeys out on the market. I'm not trying to out-bourbon the Kentucky bourbons. I'm trying to find little spots where I think there's conversations to be had that aren't being had. So the Harvest Select whiskey, that was one of our first ones, and it's this really beautiful, soft, delicate whiskey that's just kind of had a cult following with bartenders around the country. If somebody likes Irish whiskey or Canadian whiskey, it's a really neat one to get in their hands. Similar flavor profiles, but some unexpected in there as well. And the second whiskeys are straight bourbon. So we were the first to launch a bourbon in the state of Montana that was all made in Montana. A lot of the bourbons on the market are really high in corn, that 75 to 80% range. I find subtlety to be really beautiful if it's done well, but it's really difficult to do. So for ours, we did 60% corn and then barley, wheat, and rye as well. And it just really kind of balances out. There's enough of those sweet notes in there. All of our spirits finish really, I know everybody hates the descriptor smooth, but that's what we routinely get back in all of our national press and awards and everything. They finish really soft. Sign up to RackHouse Whiskey Club to get the chance to try some of our spirits and let us know what you think.